Hello, and welcome
to another episode
a whole new podcast all about technical difficulties.
Disney.
All right, enough of it.
Channel original
There's
movies.
no echoing. Hopefully, probably. Fingers crossed. I'm crossing my fingers. Lucas Melby right here.
Jacob Telejohn has his toes crossed.
I was gonna
nose
make sure you were
crossed.
crossing your toes.
Thank you.
And I want to personally apologize for the audio quality of last episode.
We forgive you, Lucas.
We've had episodes in the past that echoed for different reasons. This one, it's something with my laptop that I both understand when it happens, but I don't understand why it happens. We don't even know necessarily right now if this episode is going to echo, which would be horrible if it is, but fairly confident it won't.
Our test
because we know what not
good.
to do.
Yeah.
And there's just essentially something with my laptop where, hey, if you're a professional podcaster or just like an audio person at all, and if you saw or heard about how we record this show, you'd probably be horrified. Because typically, you watch like a video podcast or whichever, which is, I don't know what people are actually into, which seems also horrifying to me. But people wear headphones so that they can hear how they sound
in real time.
We don't do that because of the setup I have. So I don't know how the episode sounds until after we've recorded. And essentially there's something I think related to Dell laptops. They come preloaded with this like audio software called Max or something like that. And when I leave headphones plugged in, it can cause like an echo, and I don't know if it's like the headphones are being read as an audio device or whatever. I don't understand the technical details, and it's not interesting to go into, but it's something that doesn't even necessarily happen immediately when I leave headphones in, because the reason why I left them in on Big Fat Liars, because the previous episode I left them in, and there was no problem. But it's like if I record too many times with them plugged in, then there seems to be some kind of system level echo. So that's what happened. Again, shouldn't happen again. Whatever was causing the echo, if you listened to last episode, you'd notice that I echoed basically the whole episode. My echo would come at the end of whatever I was saying. Jacob, who didn't echo all the time, but when he was getting, I don't know, more louder or excitable, he would echo, but it would be at the beginning of what he said.
Yeah.
So then at the times when we talked over each other, it was extra bad, even compared to how we normally sound when we talk over each other. So believe it or not, I still did my due diligence to listen to the whole episode, edit what I could. Sometimes I was able to take out the echoes at the beginning and the ends, but oftentimes I wasn't. So still remains only one episode I've never listened to all the way through, and that was You Lucky Dog. So still have edited through and listened to all of the other episodes. So my mea culpa out of the way. We're a whole new pod, the podcast all about mostly Disney Channel original movies, but
until now, until a few episodes ago.
I don't know why I say week. We're not even close to bi-weekly. We're
this point in time.
But we returned. We were kind of flip-flopping a bit, but we got a Jacob choice for this episode. Jacob, introduce our movie.
Osmosis Jones, a 2001 blockbuster flop. It has, probably a big, I don't know, I would assume he's still, I don't know, probably
okay,
80s. Well, I'm just trying to think. I was like a big star at the time, but not really. But I mean, Bill Murray is in this movie. He's the main star. We know Bill Murray. I know Bill Murray from...
I think Bill Murray's kind of just an evergreen star. I guess at this point, it was probably a bit more of his Wayne. I can't remember. I think Lost in Translation would have been somewhere around here. And this would have been about the time where Wes Anderson is kind of putting him in a lot of his stuff and kind of giving a resurgence to his
He's still
career.
Relevant.
He has a reputation of kind of just being an
Groundhog's
asshole
Day.
And not great to work with.
Ghostbusters. Caddyshack.
Yeah, but you don't need to name fucking Bill Murray movies.
I am, though.
So some of it, I think he maybe just also doesn't really care that much about his work all the time. So, he was the voice of Garfield in 2 movies. So, I think he just kind of is good down for a paycheck. But anything else you want to say? Because when I think Osmosis Jones, despite Bill Murray being the first person we'll see in the movie, I do not think of it primarily as a Bill Murray movie.
You think it is a Chris Rock movie?
Was there any other reason why you wanted to pick this?
Well, I
to not give too much behind the scene drama, we weren't going to do Matilda.
No.
So I was going to let Jacob pick a different movie.
So because I'm being Matilda blacklisted, chose this movie
because I think Matilda is a very good movie and wouldn't make... Both Matilda was a theatrical release, which Osmosis Jones was, of course, as well, but both it was a theatrical release. It doesn't really have the same tone, or in the classic words of Jacob Telejohn, the vibe of it doesn't give DCOM vibes. It's not a goofy movie.
It's funny.
We'll never do a goofy movie either.
Sad. We have to.
I just think I had rewatched Matilda recently, and to put it in the context of my Letterboxd scores, I gave it 4 stars.
Wow.
So I don't think we'd have a lot of fun or interesting stuff to say, just other than like, yeah, this movie's pretty good. Danny DeVito did a good job directing this movie.
I didn't realize he was the director.
Well, you want to know who directed Osmosis Jones? I think it was
the Fraley.
Valley.
Was it the Fraley?
One half of these brothers.
The Green Book.
Oscar winner, director of Green Book, but other than that, mostly raunchy comedies. Shallow Hal, Dumb and Dumber 2, T.O. That was fun fact. Investigated for being like a money laundering movie.
I didn't know
for
that.
like the Malaysian or Indonesian government.
What?
So on top of just being a horrible movie, there was also that footnote to it. Interesting, because I think this is like the only animated movie, and it's only partially animated, as we'll get to quickly, that they have on their credits.
So what I was telling Lucas too, so Osmosis Jones, I remember like watching this movie. So it came out in 2001, so we would have been like, elementary school still at that point, or early, I probably saw it.
We would have been about
school.
to enter 3rd grade.
Yeah,
I know that because
9/11.
9/11. This movie came out almost a month to the day before 9/11. It came out in the U.S. on August 10th, so it can't blame its poor box office completely on 9/11 because it would have had a good month run before then, and we were in 3rd grade when 9/11 happened.
That is correct. But I remember watching this movie probably more in like middle school, probably once in high school. But I remember like
if this was shown in high school, that better just been like, we're gonna watch a fun movie, because should not have been an educational.
No, but I remember watching it though. I know I watched it in school at least a couple times. Because I know for a fact it probably middle school, so it would have been out for a handful of years already at that
middle
point.
School is also kind of pushing it. I think we watched one of the Ice Age movies in middle school at some point. So,
but I don't know. It was fun. Bill Murray. Chris Rock. Every kid loves those two.
All right. So should we just get into it then?
Let's get into Frank.
So this is I would have to pull up like the Warner Brothers animation department. I think between this and the Iron Giant, of course, a fantastic movie, came out 2 years before this. Also wasn't a very successful movie at the box office. This movie,
I feel like the Iron Giant is like a beloved film.
Yes. It just didn't do that well at the box office.
Yeah.
So I feel like the Warner Brothers animation department was probably short-lived after those 2 movies. One of them was Osmosis Jones, though. That's what we're talking about today. And I'm going to be putting my finger up in the air immediately because I'm like, what is this live action in my cartoon movie? And Jacob, it's your man. We're seeing him right away.
Bill. So I like the comparison here, is this on par with Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Is this on par?
I would, and I'm not even people are huge fans of Who Framed. I almost said I love Roger Rabbit.
It's not that there are.
No, they're not in
animation in real. It's just that they just cross in between each other, and we see some animated.
Do you want to tell us what we're seeing, Jacob?
So we're seeing Frank. I can't remember his last name. I know.
He is a zookeeper.
Yes,
and he is with his daughter, who I never wrote down the name.
And that's okay. But they're One of this one at the monkey cage. He's a nasty boy.
He lives like Jacob Telejohn.
So, like, he's always eating bad food throughout the movie. Like, he's eating fast food. Funny enough, we watched this movie on Tubi, and we were fed, like, fast food, like, commercials, like, whether it was Hardee's or McDonald's, like, throughout this whole movie. So that was kind of, on par with the movie. But Frank eats a lot of garbage.
Actually, to be fair, he's probably eating the healthiest thing for him at this point in the movie, which is a hard-boiled egg. But he's covering
he's putting a lot of salt. I mean, like, comedically, like, he's just dumping salt on it while his daughter's talking about, I think, probably the hiking trip at this point.
I don't know.
And,
you know me, women talking, I just tune it out.
but he's just pouring salt and salt and salt, and then eventually, like this chimpanzee grabs the egg from him, and they start like fighting. He's choking the chimpanzee out. The chimp's fighting for it. The egg like is in the chimpanzee's mouth. It falls to the ground into like I don't know, probably poop and stuff. He picks it up, says 10-second rule, and eats it. And then
we get a magic school bus style 4 shot inside of his mouth following
crunching up the egg.
egg.
Yeah, as soon as you go from the egg into the mouth, it transitions into this animated world.
And it's not a great start because for whatever reason they wanted to like do because they're more in the background, so there's probably different layers that they're working with for the animation process. But like his teeth and gum lines are bad CG kind of chewing. But then in the foreground of the shot, there is a helicopter. And I didn't always have the best read on the green people, they're germs. But like the blue people, the purple people cells, are they white blood cells?
White blood cells.
Are some of them, I think at times, maybe saliva cells? Or I'm not saying this is despite Jacob watching it in school, maybe not the most accurate representation of the human body. Especially because at no point, at least that I saw, is there ever a joke about the mitochondria being the powerhouse?
No, I remember that. I remember that in that phrase.
And that's the only thing I can remember. But yeah, they're in some kind of helicopter. That is our main character,
Osmosis Jones, played by, Chris Rock.
Respect on his name.
And just
Osmosis Jones's name, not Chris Rock's name.
Oh, the slap.
What if Osmosis Jones got slapped?
Oh, he'd just like fix his face and like he'd be okay. He's very malleable.
There's some other white blood cell. They're in a cop force. They're the Frank Infection Protection Squad or something like that.
Catching the bad germs.
And so much of this movie, and we're getting hit with it right away at the beginning, is just like puns, one-liners based on body stuff. So
a lot of stuff that obviously would have went over our heads, at least my head when I was a child. And even now,
some of it.
There's some references I don't
But like
get.
when he says, we're up
Spitz Creek or whatever. Okay, yeah. There's some fun stuff like that. That's fun.
guess. I mean, I had seen maybe around this time Without a Paddle, and that's a bad movie too. So much of this is just like I can see why maybe Jacob likes it because he likes to know things, and we talked about that. And I know that. I guess at least a better thing to be like, I know what that body part is, and I know what that means. But it's just so weird to just be bombarded by this because essentially the movie is a spoof of sorts, or just kind of a comedy version of a hard-boiled, speaking back to the hard-boiled egg, like detective story. So Osmosis Jones, this is going to devolve into him going after this egg. It's covered in germs. This is going to devolve into
Thrax,
a classic like cop movie,
buddy
car chase,
buddy cop
intro.
comedy, buddy cop dramedy.
He's doing this car chase where he's going after this germ. And he shoots at the germ, and it shoots like an electrical pole, which is for the nerves.
Yeah, screws up Frank's nerves.
He has a huge leg cramp, so then he's going to his chief, and it's like, your ass, you're a loose cannon. Yeah. So it's like kind of already a weird genre to have spoofed for kids, because they're probably not going to be exposed to a lot of like the 80s or 70s movies that this is really goofing. And then it's just a lot of body stuff that they probably are too young to get unless they were a high schooler watching this.
Who is this movie made for? Who is this made
Well, that probably indicates why it did poorly at the box office.
Yeah.
Unless this was still the same year as Shrek, and it's quite possible that Shrek was like still playing in theaters in August and just eating its lunch. Because it had layers. I don't know if you've seen that Shrek movie, but there's some layers to
like
it.
Onions in Shrek.
So yeah, a lot of my notes are just kind of sparse because some of it's just like they go to a location that's based on a body part or based on like, oh, they're at the ingrown toenail.
Yeah.
And so much of like the background is just kind of abstract.
You compared it to the Proud Family movie.
Yeah, I did. And the Proud Family did kind of have not super detailed abstract backgrounds, but certainly not like, oh, this is just random meat wall. I don't really know what this is. But it's almost as kind of like in SpongeBob SquarePants when they're down in the ocean. That's not always super detailed. Yeah. And then it's just like, instead of that, it's red more than blue a lot of the time. Anything you want to mention for the intro?
Not particularly.
Because then we're getting right into kind of our plot because we meet our villain, Jake was mentioning earlier, Thrax.
Yes, and Lucas believes, I think he's right when he says anthrax.
Yeah.
I don't know if anthrax can pass from person to person, but in this movie, whatever this thrax, okay.
I'm pretty sure. I don't know.
Which is,
and this would have.
How did this anthrax get in this monkey, Lucas?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm not a epidemiologist, and this would have at least predated. I don't know if it was the first kind of big anthrax scare because I think that was post 9/11 from what I was googling. But anthrax had been a thing. I think I remember. Well, maybe it was after this, but still hearing about anthrax outbreaks in like China or Japan or places. Yeah. I think it was more China. But Thrax is voiced by Lawrence Fishburne, or if you were watching his earlier work, Larry Fishburne.
Ooh.
But this would have been post The Matrix, so he was definitely Lawrence Fishburne at this point. And I feel very much he's channeling his performance in Deep Cover, where he plays a cop who goes undercover as a gangster. But here, he's just gangster red virus guy.
He's scary.
Presumably.
And he's got like a
claw.
Like a claw talent, just like glows red. And like whatever he touches, like
he's the only red
infects.
Person. He also name drops Ebola at one point, but they didn't want to, I guess, still go up for the big one to be like HIV or
yikes.
And I guess they get away with it because they're just blobby virus people or cell people. But so he first pops up on, I believe, a saliva boat that I wasn't clear if it's like, oh, these are saliva cells or are they white blood cells that are just piloting the saliva boat. Whatever the case, he kills them, and usually he either is like slashing people apart or kind of sometimes he like kind of seems to infect them.
He puts
or, like,
one of them
boils
in like a cleaning thing somehow.
Yeah, but what's more is he like pokes one in the chest and he kind of just like boils.
Oozes, but like Lucas pointed out too, that there's multiple deaths in here of these people or these cells and stuff that are pretty gnarly for a PG film.
They get away with it because there's just like, oh, they're amoebas. It's not a big deal.
And there is this little creature, little germ thing that we see that's kind of like, sees all this go down. He's really freaked out, and he's
got a rough life.
He sticks around. He might have like probably the fourth most screen time in this movie.
Well, not an active screen time.
No.
Speaking of who is this movie for, kind of the A plot is dealing with Thrax, and Osmosis will be on that case, of course. But then the B plot is dealing with a mayoral election kind of race between Mayor Fleming,
who is played by
William Shatner.
Yes.
And he's being challenged by Tom Kalanick,
Opie Taylor,
voiced by Ron Howard.
Yes.
Both of those actors definitely for the kids, but I'm always against any ways of like stunt casting for so many animated movies have been greatly ruined by forcing celebrity voice casting. Robin Williams did a great job in Aladdin, but leading up to Shrek and everything post that, bunch of bullshit. Oof. We don't need celebrities in our fucking animated movies. Let voice actors.
I thought these voices fit the characters. Especially Ron Howard's little.
If I was supposed to. Oh yeah, these characters specifically.
Yes.
I was just like, well, if you want me to not like your main character, then Chris Rock was a good choice.
Well, yeah, I mean, you weren't supposed to like him. You were, but you weren't, because he was supposed to be just someone kind of, it's over his head and just doing stuff he shouldn't be doing, and I don't know. The voice fit the character,
but it's balanced out by lots of fart jokes.
Yeah,
including in Tom Kalanick's political ad here, there is a fart joke.
Yes.
So it's kind of like the whole movie, it is novel in a way, and they're very much kind of beating Pixar to some of Pixar's punches, being like, Pixar, they had Toy Story, what if toys were alive? And they have various different things of like, what is the monster society? And then it eventually leads up to like Inside Out of being like, what is it like in your brain? So they're kind of doing a Pixar thing of like, what if everything in your body was alive? But then they also kind of go into weird Inside Out territory of like the mayor controls like Frank's impulses, or like he's running on like a message of like, we're going to go to
eat all the food. Yeah, the wings convention.
Yeah,
99 different wings,
and that's like exciting
flavors.
for the body. Because
different parts of bodies.
Yeah, like the love handles
that are bad. Yeah, it's parts of Frank's body that are like in bad shape. This would benefit them by eating more crap. So like Mayor Fleming is like really, he just doesn't care about Frank.
Seemingly, I said seemingly. I could have maybe enunciated that a little clearer. Seemingly, though, when his opponent Tom Kalanick does beat him, then it's just like almost like a mental illness level of like complete mental break of being like, no, I am healthy person.
He starts eating carrots. Spoiler alert.
It's not quite like that, but it's just Pixar, once they did get to this with Inside Out, they kind of ignore the rest of the body parts.
Yeah.
It's not quite as dialed in and thought out as a Pixar movie. I'll say Osmosis Jones doesn't measure up to the best or even some of the worst of Pixar.
Wow.
The question is, would I rather watch this than Finding Dory? That's a tough one.
Wait, definitely Osmosis Jones.
As I mentioned before, Osmosis is in hot water with his chief based on causing Frank to have a leg cramp.
Yeah, he's getting mad at him, but he's like, Osmosis tries to pull like a quick thing because the officer forgets, or the chief forgets what he's talking about, and he's like, oh, you were going to give me promotion. He's like, oh, okay, Jones, we'll send you down to the throat, because he has a sore throat, which is like the start of this Thrax deal, I believe, right?
Yeah, so Thrax, we'll find out, he's kind of masking
his symptoms.
Though really, he just needs to get to one place, so I don't know why he needs to even cause any symptoms until he gets... It works in the sense of like when you're sick, you start with a sore throat and then you get a runny nose or whatever.
Yes.
That makes sense, but as far as like why is he doing some of the things, doesn't make as much sense.
So he goes by, it's the Red Death, I believe. That's
okay.
Thrax's...
yeah, that's
his other nickname.
He gets that tip. We're getting there.
Okay.
Because first we have to introduce our kind of odd couple buddy cop. Drixenol. Who gets dropped in a giant pill.
Yes.
And he comes out and he's some kind of like floating robot.
Accompanying Osmosis Jones to welcome Drix is
Leah,
played by Brandy,
the mayor's assistant. So yeah, we have 2 Brandy movies within like 3 episodes that we did.
There is I found an amusing part in this movie where he says, Osmosis Jones says, hey, Brandy, I mean Leah.
For the kids.
For the kids. So she accompanies, him to meet Drix. And they must have had a thing, he's always had a thing for her.
I'll be the first one to tell you, she's a sexy looking son.
Oh my goodness, Lucas.
I know, I can understand what Osmosis Jones is going.
Oh my, keep it in your pants.
So
they're there.
I don't know what's growing down there.
Oh no, yikes!
I don't even know what that means.
Ugh,
for the kids.
I gotta go.
Everybody, if you're listening to this episode, hit the back 15 seconds button a couple of times. Bring your children into the room and then play
have them listen to it and get the review on that segment, please.
Drix
is here. He's out of his little pill.
It doesn't even really make sense why
I am Drixenol. To cure your common colds.
He reads off his side effects list again for the kids. They love.
It's fun.
Medicine,
it's fun.
Ad jokes.
Yeah.
But going back to Leah, I don't even know why she's there. She's like, oh, I'm here for the mayor to make sure this pill does its job. It's just to set up this like romantic subplot, which isn't even really like a thing. This isn't a super long movie. It's like 90 something minutes.
Yeah, it's a pretty short, hour and a half.
And a third of that is Bill Murray scenes. So the interdynamics between the cell characters doesn't get fleshed out the most.
No.
And we get some more fart jokes with Drix being introduced because he like floats with like bubbles. He's kind of like a weird, kind of like the Iron Giant, where he's like a cell shaded CG.
His head is the pill
character to give him his round floatiness. And it doesn't clash too bad with the other characters, but I kind of was like, hey, as an anime fan, my hackles go up when I see CG. It's not good enough for me. CG in...
Triggered!
But I'd say this movie with a $70 million budget has a higher, probably CG budget than most anime I've watched in my life.
How much of this money, went to the stars of this?
That's a fair question, though I don't think any of them would have been... if they had to get like Jim Carrey in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Even for a voice role. Even at 2001 time, Jim Carrey probably would have gotten like $5 million easily. But the relationship between Drix and Osmosis, it's very, as I said, buddy cop, odd couple mix. It's not even really like, it's like Rush Hour, but they're not fun. They're really...
I think they're fun.
Not to, pick sides, especially since I think Chris Tucker, was flying with Jeffrey Epstein a number of times. So I'm not going to say one Chris is better than the other, but I think Rush Hour is better than Osmosis Jones. They finally get up to the throat where Drix is just using like a freeze ray to deal with all the inflammation.
Yeah.
Which causes an issue because Osmosis is on the wrecked saliva ship that Thrax destroyed. And he finds that one little germ Jacob was talking about who is speaking Spanish. Speaking Spanish for some reason.
Yeah, he is speaking Spanish.
Definitely not problematic.
No, he's like, hombre. He's explaining it to Osmosis and then
says
Drix,
whatever translate in Spanish to the Red Death.
Yeah, and then Drix freezes him and then he has to carry around the little dude for a couple days.
And if whether or not I call it out later on, he gets unfrozen momentarily later on in the movie to only be frozen again, and then I do not think we ever see him again. So I do feel pretty bad for this.
Yeah, sad.
I don't even really remember when it happens, but Osmosis Jones calls into like the brain network, the memory bank, to see if they can translate the Red Death Spanish.
He's like, all we got here are sports statistics. Although the lady that works the brain does find what that this means, the Red Death.
Frank's a real cultured.
Yes, I brought that. How did Frank? He must have heard it somewhere on the news.
But then I don't even really know why. What he does, he's like, oh, it's the Red Death. I don't know if that like is a. I didn't pay the closest attention, but I don't know if that like puts him on his trail somehow. I don't know how it could because the body is so hard to follow what's going on in there. Just in general, that's my experience with my body. I don't know what's going on in there all the time.
And I have no memories at all.
Jacob, his body's a temple, though.
Yeah,
it's pitch perfect.
Definitely not.
He's a specimen.
I'm constantly falling
in a lab. They're actively studying him right now.
Probably. I wouldn't be surprised.
So Thrax, he was no longer at the throat. He has moved to the sweat glands because the sweat glands operate as essentially like a sauna or a Turkish bath, if you will.
And there's some like gangsters in there.
Gangsters always hang out in saunas.
Yeah.
So he's trying to hit up these, I guess, germs or viruses or bacteria, probably more accurately,
he's trying to recruit some help
that have not been killed by the police force.
Yeah, they're just hiding out in the pores.
The old, the godfather of this group.
Yeah, get out of here. I'm going to make you get lost.
But then he kills him.
He does. He kills all of them. He does keep one or two like henchmen people, I guess.
But this is another kind of intense slashing scene where he's cutting them up.
He's slicing and dicing, and the guy's the old mobster guy's mouth goes down the drain.
You're not even that tough.
And this is where they're like, what's your deal? You're just causing a sore throat. This is like the common cold. And Thrax is like, yes, it's all part of my plan. That they just think it's a common cold to start. So then he's also going up to the nose dam to mess with stuff up there.
Oh, yeah.
Simultaneously.
Get that runny nose going.
In the real world, fortunately, Frank is walking around at his zoo again, where he then inhales some pollen. So he starts to get a runny nose. And then this coincides with, I don't know why they go up there, but Osmosis and Drix go to the nose, where then they encounter Thrax and his crew, causing the nose dam to collapse, unleashing a bunch of snot.
Drix does,
he tries
to fix it. It does burst, but he must later on, because he does make the paper, because he does, I guess, fill the dam back up.
Because that's my question. I'm like, people get runny noses fairly often.
Yeah.
What's the infrastructure where anytime like a symptom happens, it's just like this catastrophic thing? Like, the dam broke again, and I guess I'll have a runny nose until they fix the dam in my nose?
Yeah.
Then there's something where like Osmosis sees Thrax leaving or tries to chase him down. He
flies away. I don't know. He catches on to like a dust spore, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Because that's what causes all this, the dust.
but also him, because like his
Yeah.
cronies start like hitting up the dam. So it's kind of just serendipitous for all of this to happen.
Maybe the dust weakened the dam.
And Osmosis
'Cause
is
he
trying
sneezes very big sneeze.
and he tries to chase him, but then gets like washed away in a flood of snot.
Yeah.
Kids probably definitely.
So we see Frank is talking to Uncle Bob, and he has just like a booger that's starting to like hang
Well,
down.
we've not established Uncle Bob, unless I wasn't listening when you.
I might have
established
said
Uncle
his
Bob.
name. So Uncle Bob is just the guy that got Frank the job at.
Unclear if they're actually brothers or brothers-in-law or anything.
Frank got him the job at the zoo after a. I mean, we can actually talk about why he got fired from his other job and all.
Yeah, that comes up soon.
There was a science fair project for the daughter. She had a volcano. Some other student had oysters. The oysters were polluted, and the kid was supposed to clean them. Kid was very dumb. He didn't clean them. Frank, like he eats all crap, ate the oyster, got very sick.
Throws up on Molly Shannon.
Yes. And
Playing herself.
Osmosis Jones saw the oyster and he knew it was bad, so he hit the vomit button. Pukes on Molly Shannon. It makes the front page of the paper. He gets fired from his
job at the pea soup
factory. And
which
Uncle
Molly
Bob.
Shannon plays the daughter's teacher, and Molly Shannon is probably the best part of this movie.
Yeah, she's funny.
Especially...
And she does care about the daughter.
I guess, whatever her name is. Because we get another follow-up scene later on where she's like, this was very hard on my children.
Yeah.
What was it?
Ralph and
Chuck.
That's funny.
And then it's like, oh, you're my daughter, Shirley. And then he's like, oh, the paper said Hurley.
That's good. Not the paper, like some news, Tom Brokaw or something.
Yeah, that's crazy. Slow news day, I guess, for the entire country. Molly Shannon, I've been watching the HBO Max or Max original show, The Other Two, where she plays the mom of the family in that. And she's very funny. So she's in a lot of trash, I think.
A big
she's
alum
funny.
of Saturday Night Live, right?
Some Saturday Night Live. I mean, she was in Superstar, and wasn't that a
Saturday
Saturday Night Live movie?
Yeah, there's a new Saturday Night Live movie coming out.
Well, not in the traditional sense of Saturday Night Live movie. That'd be like, you said a new Saturday Night Live.
It's about Saturday Night Live's first night.
Yeah, no, it's not like they're making a David S. Pumpkins movie. I would be there for that, though.
He's there. I'll be there for you.
So my notes just here say the mayoral system makes no sense because I guess Osmosis Jones, gets in trouble by telling them about Thrax because the mayor's like, that's bullshit. Don't worry about it. I don't want to like lose the election or something.
Yeah, the mayor's just a really bad guy. He's not like evil. He just doesn't care. He's just bad. Just cares more about winning. I don't know.
And then Drix and Osmosis are kind of randomly at each other's throats in this scene.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know, they have to force drama. But then, like, the scene ends by Drix being like, no, I still want Jones as my partner. And it's like, why? He's like, well, I'm supposed to do what's best for Frank. And I think you want to do what's best for Frank. Okay. I guess all the other cops are pigs.
Yeah.
And this is where he tells them the backstory about the vomit stuff so that we feel better for Osmosis. And Drix is like, actually, you probably were correct because shellfish
carry a lot of bacteria.
Be vectors or something like that. They're buddies
not
now.
A bad guy.
They hit up an informant, which I thought was kind of a fun bit where the informant is a virus, but he was a virus introduced by a flu vaccine. So he rats out other flu viruses to then get eliminated by the white blood cells. So that was kind of interesting, though he then somehow has info on something generally I don't think related to the flu, which is
Thrax.
The new hot nightclub, The Zit.
The zit on the forehead of
on
Frank.
The forehead.
Very big. We do see it. Very large.
They infiltrate it by... I didn't really understand how Osmosis Jones, he just like messes with his face.
He's able to like, so like when we first see him with Leah, he like fixes his chin and his whole face.
Yeah,
and, like,
he's a
makes
cell.
He can, just throw out his body and like he makes himself really like tall and short. And Drix just puts like that little creature thing like on his head. He's wearing it like as a hat, I guess.
But then they go in there and everybody else is green and clearly a germ.
It's not like they immediately notice him, I guess.
No, they don't. They take quite a while, actually.
Osmosis drinks like this beer, I guess. It's supposed to be a beer, and he like it's I don't know.
I didn't see how it was. delivered to him.
It was through like the guy, like the bartender is like spitting it up and like putting it through his body. It's pretty gross. But he drinks it and he like pukes and then he goes into like this office room.
Well, you're forgetting the most important part of this.
Where Drax is. Oh.
Where we both had it spoiled because we were looking at some of the voice actors and stuff. But we get a virus, Kid Rock, and also I think somewhere here, Uncle Kracker. So very 2001
for the kids
cameo there. Where Kid Rock is performing a song, I believe, Cool Daddy Cool, made for this movie. And as I sometimes have recently been exposed to Kid Rock at work because patients like Kid Rock and sometimes pick a Kid Rock song when we do music videos to watch.
Yeah.
Not the worst Kid Rock song I've ever heard.
It was
still not very good.
Maybe I don't know, first...
and I can't comment on really any Uncle Kracker song except for...
I don't know if that was like his voice. Was that like there's like a little germ that like sounds like...
I think that was Uncle Kracker.
Sounds really goofy.
I can't think of his one big song. Follow me, everything is all right. Follow me. Da, 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 da. I think that's it. Nailed it.
Right on the knob.
But as Jacob is saying, Osmosis Jones is just able to also sneak into Thrax's meeting here. Because that's what they were getting info was on Thrax. I guess maybe that's where he says like, "Ooh, the Red Death guy."
Yeah, his gang's getting the upload. He's talking about he's gonna go. So Thrax wants to like he has like this I don't know, like a necklace, and he's like, this one I killed in a week. This one I killed in 72 hours. I'm about to set a record with Frank 48 hours.
He has trophies he's collected from other bodies. If he is a virus, or even if he's a bacteria, I don't think it's accurate that he'd be body hopping and still be the one singular cell, but I digress. His plan is to get to the hypothalamus in the brain and pull out whatever this thing is that he's collected from the other bodies, and that will cause Frank's temperature
to rise to 108 degrees.
Yeah. Not good.
Not good. So Osmosis is being nosy and kind of asking questions and stuff, like, well, say a white blood cell. Is there anything a white blood cell could do to stop all this?
But that's not even what throws him off necessarily, because then he covers and he's like, I'm butt scratching bad boy or whatever.
Yeah, everybody knows.
And then he gives a germ a high five, but the germ is just a hand.
Yeah.
So then he's like, hey, that hurt. And he slaps him and then his badge falls out. And they're like, oh shit, he's a cop. So then there's like a whole ruckus that starts.
Drix breaks in.
And he's got his whole arsenal.
Cannon thing. And he blows.
It's certainly a commentary on the militarization of the police force.
Wow. He blows everything up. He ices everything.
I think it's somewhat an accident where he didn't want to use his big grenade, but one of the goons accidentally set it off. We cut away to the germ who Drix was, who weren't keeping up, wearing on his head to pretend to be a germ.
He unthawed.
Just to be frozen again. And I think that's the last time we see him.
Probably.
And he probably should be dead at that point.
They are under the impression, because all the germs are gone, everything's gone wherever the
zit has popped.
Zit is, yes, it pops into Molly Shannon's mouth.
For some reason, I think it's the daughter wants to go on a school camping trip.
Yes.
But he wants her to go to the Buffalo Wings event.
In Buffalo, New York.
And he needs to talk to the teacher to get permission for her to not go to that. But the teacher also has a restraining order on him because he threw up on her. And then, yes, the zit spontaneously erupts onto her lip, and then she yells some more.
Get out of here! And he's rubbing his head. Pretty gross. But yeah, everything in the zit is gone. All the germs are gone. It looks like Thrax is gone, but he's not. We see Osmosis and Drix walking away, but we see
they don't know that Thrax is.
He's hanging on to something, and
he's got a night glider thing.
Yeah, he's hanging on to something. So. He's still there. He didn't get blown out of Frank's
And the
zit.
mayor is mad at Osmosis Jones for reasons. I don't really know if
he's always mad.
It's the Wings trip is threatened by the zit popping or something. But whatever the case is, he gets fired from the force. Then Thrax just infiltrates the hypothalamus. He yanks out the thing, and this causes, after he kills some more guys.
Yes.
And this causes Frank's temperature to spike. And this is all lining up in the real world with the daughter being mad at Frank, her father, for being unhealthy because her mom has died. And she says
Just
that
from being
mom
sick.
died because you guys eat shit all the time.
Yeah, you keep eating those Hardee's and McDonald's.
So she is not going with him on the Buffalo Wings trip. She's going on a hiking trip that she wants him to go on.
There was a point at one point that we saw Leah like enter Frank's.
Oh, there you go. Oh no, Leah's not the daughter's name. I was like, wait, I have Leah written down here.
That Leah enters like Frank's subconscious and tells her, this is your subconscious.
That does nothing.
You need to go to the hike with her, but he does nothing. He just like
pulls out his nasty toe.
Yeah, look at my toe.
Made no sense.
No sense. But so at this point, like you were talking about, Osmosis Jones is kicked off the force, and Drix is being sent to the bladder to get pissed out.
Yeah, there's a lot happening. So let's clear up what's in the real world. His daughter going on a bus to the camping trip. Frank driving with Bob to the Buffalo Wings event.
Yes.
Fever spiking. He's
getting hot.
He gets hot. He like crashes the car.
Yeah.
And the bus passes him being loaded onto an ambulance.
Isn't that your dad? That's my dad. Stop the bus. So, well, she's like just gone through like a big makeover. She has fake eyelashes and just like
very key that she has fake eyelashes.
Clown makeup on.
So she gets off of the bus and goes with her dad,
Uncle Bob,
to the hospital.
Oh yes. Rides with
All
Papa.
Right. So that's enough for the real world right now. As Jacob was saying, I guess it does make some bodily sense for Drix to be eliminated. He has served his purpose as a pill. He would be eliminated, through urine or sweat or whatever. Yeah. So he was down in the bladder, which he's not the only one down by the bladder.
No. I noticed something when we were watching him in line. I thought I was seeing something. Like I literally like
Jacob thought he had 108-degree fever.
It was literally Pikachu. Some woman is holding Pikachu. I showed Lucas, and it's like literally like there's no mistake about it. It's a clear image of Pikachu.
Yeah, I didn't catch it at first, and I'm like, well, I'm sure it's like a reference to Pikachu. But then he pulled up the picture online because I wasn't gonna rewind.
But he did.
It is just Pikachu.
He did rewind it because it shows Pikachu's front, and then there's like a little clip later when he's like walking away. You see Pikachu's tail, and I'm like, there's the tail. So it was very.
Which I guess just. It would have still been at least a few years since like the Pokemon cartoon had really probably popped off in the West.
It was
so I don't know.
Very odd.
It's just an Easter egg.
I guess. Yeah, I mean, it's very quick. It doesn't linger on it.
I didn't know we were going to watch this movie today, so I hadn't looked up like IMDb trivia or whatever. I'm sure that's on there
probably
somewhere.
Mentioned.
I can tell you what's on the Cyberbully trivia.
Oh, no. Next time.
No. Oh. Anyways, Osmosis Jones pops up and is like, hey, Driz, you don't need to go because...
Driz.
Drix?
He said Driz. Drizzy.
I honestly couldn't remember his name.
Drix and all.
He calls him Drips sometimes.
He does say Drips.
Earlier on, he calls him Drips to be mean to him. But now they're friends, so he calls him Drix?
Drix and all.
Drix has the Riz, okay?
He's the Rizzler.
We know this. This is a stat.
No cap, on God.
For real, for real.
FR.
Leah's got that if you know.
Yikes.
So he tells Drix to not leave because hey, pills can cure cancer. And Drix is like, is that true? And he's like, no, I lied to you, but come along. And then I guess Drix tears off like his use because like the mayor's like, oh, you're just a pill that's used for temporary relief. But then he tears that off, which by the end of the movie, I guess just means he gets to exist in the body forever.
Yes.
Because he took away the fine print or whatever.
Yeah, fuck that.
And then Leah is at like the memory area along with Thrax, and like Thrax captures her and like jumps out a window, I think.
Yeah, because she notices the temperature change in Frank's body. She tells the mayor he doesn't care, so she said, I'm gonna go to the hypothalamus and check it out myself. So she gets there and notices hypothalamus. So she goes there, notices the two guys have been killed. She pushes the alarm button, which alerts everyone, so they're all on the lookout for him. And Thrax is hiding down in like the subconscious memory thing or whatever, memories.
It doesn't matter.
We see some funny clips down there.
Do we? We see some clips.
We see Frank naked in a class, in his underwear. in a classroom.
Yeah, he's not naked.
We see like that there's 4 movies playing. One of them I remember is just like Worst Nightmare, and it's like Uncle Bob is marrying the daughter.
I don't know if that was marrying or maybe because they do at some point be like, if you die, I'll take your daughter.
So like he's walking her down the
either way, it's not great.
It's concerning.
So they end up chasing Drax to the uvula. Before we get a quick little joke for the parents in the audience where he's like, oh, what's the uvula? It's that little dangly thing in Frank's. And then Osmosis turns and we see a sign saying going to the rectum.
Oh.
A hemorrhoids joke. But then he's like, no, it's in his throat. So then they turn and go to the uvula. But Thrax he uses his like Batman glider to fly out of Frank's mouth.
Yeah.
And then lands in the daughter's
eyelash,
who she is bedside with Frank, who shortly hereafter begins to flatline.
Yeah, he's dead.
Because his fever has gotten so
108.
High. So Drix, I think, shoots him out of his mouth. Osmosis, he does something to launch him so that Osmosis gets to the daughter's eye.
Yes, Osmosis goes into Drix's, his like launcher thing. So they're both in the eye.
I had a guess because I was not watching it.
No, that is correct. You're right. He scrunches up in a little ball because Osmosis can do whatever he wants with his body.
Feels like he should have done more cool stuff in the movie. Like,
should've.
I don't know, make like a hammer hand or, you know, be like the T-1000 or
more of that
whatever.
kind of comedy. We like that comedy.
Or just cool animation medium stuff.
Yeah.
So then they are on the daughter's eyeball and having a fight scene that I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. But then they do like a Matrix reference because...
Why not?
As I was telling Jacob...
Lawrence Fishburne's in this movie. That's literally Lawrence Fishburne.
It was like legally obligated if you're like a comedy, and 10 years after The Matrix, you had to have a Matrix joke.
Yes.
And they do. And then they get onto the daughter's eyelids, or eyelashes.
Fake lashes.
Rather. I guess maybe my notes wanted this to be emphasized more. This is kind of a crazy development. We were kind of nonchalant about it, but it's just like, oh yeah, they fly out of his mouth onto the daughter's eye, and now they're fighting on the daughter's eye.
Because Thrax uses the pollen.
Sure.
To make him sneeze.
No, I wasn't. I'm just questioning or pointing out more like the insanity of the setting, not like, what's the mechanics in this world? I'm really questioning if this is realistic that they could fly out of the mouth. But then, yeah, they're on the eyelash, and there's something where Thrax stabs through Osmosis and is like using his talon thing to burn, but Osmosis had made a hole in his stomach, so then he's just burning into the fake eyelash.
Yes.
Which I guess then means he can't get out of it, even though he was able to get into it. Couldn't he just heat up again and get out?
That fake, whatever it's called.
Yeah, girls, just... Hey, I want to tell all the women out there, you look beautiful just the way you are.
It's true.
You don't need makeup or fake eyelashes or anything.
Fact.
You just need a Brazilian butt lift.
Wow. Oh.
That's not true.
So he's stuck in the lash, and the lash is starting to fall off. It does fall off. Osmosis, runs and jumps into like a tear, but we see the eyelash fall into alcohol, and Thrax is just dead.
Well, in a fairly horrific fashion, like almost
very
cartoon
creepy
style of like the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
I feel like,
almost.
I feel like there's deaths like this in the Hercules movie, maybe, or something. I don't know.
Maybe I can't think. There's just maybe like the souls in Hades looks like this.
So yeah, he's dead, and Osmosis is running into a tear.
Well, first, what is causing the tears is that Frank has flatlined
He's
at
dead.
this point, so the daughter is crying,
running up to Frank,
and she's
leaning
like,
over.
"I'm sorry, Mom didn't die because you're a fat ass. She died because of we don't know what he could have just been like she had cancer or something.
Yeah,
but it could have been cancer caused by poor eating or
potentially
exacerbated by that." But she's shedding her tears, and that allows Osmosis Jones to...
And so while he was fighting Thrax, he grabs that necklace thing.
Oh, yeah,
He has the necklace thing that he stole from the brain or whatever.
MacGuffin.
Yes. So he has that, and
what if he got the wrong one?
They're all in that one chain.
Oh,
all
so
of them
he
are
has
stored
like a
in
super
there.
hypothalamus now.
They're all into that chain.
So I guess like the tear falls into his mouth.
It falls into his. Is that what it is? The mouth,
or at least he lands in there, and then
that's
so
where they
hot
all
that
are.
like it evaporates.
And they're like, oh, we need to get this to the hypothalamus ASAP.
And like the entire like cityscape of the body that we're seeing at this point is just like molten lava,
burned up.
We see a
108.
fun bit of the Neuron News Network or whatever,
CNN.
And the news anchors are like fighting with each other. There's some fun stuff like that.
But they must get it to the hypothalamus, and his temperature starts to decrease from the 108.
He gets a heartbeat back.
And the daughter goes and hugs him, and he's alive. He says, Mom says hello.
I'm like, that's kind of scary, maybe.
Really dark.
We didn't see anything representing that.
No, we didn't.
There's no afterlife in Osmosis Jones.
Yeah, we should have seen a clip then. We should have referenced that.
It would, no.
I don't know. Why even say that?
Maybe Bill Murray just ad-libbed it. Who knows?
That's possible.
Whatever the case is, we're at the end of the movie now. Frank lives. Osmosis Jones is reinstated with the police force.
Drix is sticking around.
Yeah. I don't know. Does Leah kiss him at this point?
I
wasn't really paying attention.
Ozzy.
You're like, yeah.
Oh, Ozzy. So they're smooching, and we see in real life Frank and his daughter. It looks like they've just completed a very long hike up a mountain, and he's like, I didn't think I'd break a sweat, but then we see right behind him, there's like a golf cart, so he literally like walked like 10 feet and he's sweating. And she feeds him a carrot, and it's a beautiful view on top of this mountain.
And then we get one final fart joke because Mayor Fleming is presumably
in
the asshole, and he hits a button that says, do not push, and then it causes Bill Murray to fart, and then he tries to blame it on his daughter.
Out with the old, in with the new.
Yep, and that's the
rear
end
end.
Of the movie.
The rear end.
That is the rear end.
Yes.
We've come full circle, and that's why the podcast can end. Is because we've ended a movie with an actual rear end. How apropos, as they might say.
What a goated film.
Talking through it, and maybe I've respected a little bit more. I was feeling like 2 stars, but you know what? I'm gonna do Ozzy Jones 2.5.
We'll take it. We'll take it.
Until I changed my mind, like I did, I think, on the Descendants episode, where I was like, actually, the story of this movie really made no sense at all. Quick aside, though, before we give our final thoughts on Osmosis Jones. Every year, my dad's side of the family has like a mini family reunion camp out. And I was talking to one of my cousins she's 16. She just recently got her driver's license, I guess. So she is of the age where she had watched the Descendants movies when she was younger, because the last one came out when she was 11.
Yeah.
And kind of corroborated some of the theories I had, where she was like, yeah, I love those movies as a kid. And then I was like watching one because it was on TV recently, like the first one or something. And she was like, I used to think they were so cool. And I'm like, this seems kind of bad. And I'm like, yeah. Definitely, you could say it's rotten to the core. And I was like, are you going to watch the new one? She's like, I don't know. I'm like, well, I'd be interested because, 16 is maybe still a little bit older, but she is of like the right age where she's kind of straddling both of these eras. So it was interesting to talk to the youth.
The youth. Age.
Then I asked her if she had heard of Chappelle Roan. And then I heard a different cousin talking later on that about Chapel Roan, who is a hot singer with the young folk. But her name is spelled like Chappelle.
Chappelle Show.
My cousin did not correct me, so I feel very embarrassed now.
Wow.
Like I always do when I talk about this podcast.
A whole new pod.
We just watched Osmosis Jones. I guess I kind of gave my final judgment that I think this is kind of a missed opportunity, where I do think this was like a concept. There's actually an anime series called Cells at Work that I've never watched, but I'm sure kind of expands on this idea, because it's
I am kind of surprised it didn't make more money. This is kind of when you were starting to get more and more animated films, I guess. I don't know, big studios.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I mean, there's kind of always been animated movies.
Yeah, but
I just think, if like a Pixar took this on, I think they'd be a little more pointed, or really a little more.
Maybe it would have been a
out.
PG-13 movie.
No, I think I think this is fine. I think there just wasn't, they could have done more with like, as I was saying, some maybe fun stuff with like the cells reshaping or just have a more, probably maybe nothing. Well, I guess even like Inside Out does have stuff that happens in the real world, but just like, I don't know, more of a better balance, maybe a little less goofy in like the plot, but still have jokes in it. Maybe, you know what? This movie couldn't be better.
It's as good as it was.
Maybe one fart joke for the whole movie.
Too many fart jokes for Lucas.
Maybe a little less gross out humor. There's, like stuff like sight gags of a toe cheese being like a
toe
truck
cheese
being
that's
like
good.
going around.
I like that.
Just, I don't know, maybe more creative instead of just like the creativity being
Goofy.
focused on like raunchiness.
Yeah. I thought it was fun to like, I mean, obviously as kids, we didn't really probably recognize that William Shatner, Opie Taylor, Ron Howard.
When I was talking
here.
about like celebrity stunt casting, this is still pretty relatively early on, where I guess it's kind of always for the adults. Like, that's the thing, was like, what kid is going to see the Mario movie or the Garfield movie because Chris Pratt is voicing the character?
Yeah.
It's more for the parents to, I don't know, feel more comfortable watching a kid's movie, which at this point we have so many man children in our society that there's no problem going to see the Mario movie.
So I thought the voice casting was good for these characters. The movie lived up to I got more of the references, the body stuff, and some of the humor that I didn't pick up on, and seen some things I didn't recognize.
I did have to explain the hemorrhoids joke to Jacob.
Yeah.
You've maybe lived a blessed life.
I have. I'm very blessed. I thought it was fun for, I probably haven't seen this movie in 10, 15 years.
Well, and I can't foresee ever seeing it again.
Yeah, probably not, but I'm glad we watched it.
You know what? I'm not. All right.
Could Osmosis Jones have stopped 9/11? Yes, because he could have fudged up and let anthrax kill the terrorist that was in the terrorist.
Where is Osmosis Jones?
He's the white blood cell.
He'd only be in one place at one time.
He's the white blood cell of the terrorist.
And not even a very helpful place necessarily all the time.
So by his goof ups, anthrax kills.
You might have to bring it down where he saves 1 point. He can't do all three. Though.
But no, it hops to each one, Lucas. The anthrax is hopping to all these different pilots. And they all die before 11 even happens.
Yeah, they just get the same death number, but it's just due to anthrax instead.
Yeah. Planes don't crash.
That would be, as I said, maybe less stuff in the real world. So what if there was something all in the body, and it was only at the very end of the movie
in the body
that we pull out to see what was this person doing in the real world, and it's Robert Pattinson's character at the end of that one movie where he's in the 2 towers.
Oh no!
Gets killed. That would have earned it at least an extra half. All right, so that was Osmosis Jones. If you want to write in and let us know if you're glad we watched this or not, you can write us at awholenewpod@gmail.com. And we will move into our next semi-regular segment, A Whole New Pop, where Jacob has graced us with at least somewhat timely. This movie's coming out is it next week? Couple weeks?
September 6th, couple weeks.
After Labor Day. We have official Beetlejuice movie partner Fanta Haunted Apple flavor.
So one of my buddies from work, Matt, they had this.
I believe you mean Michael Keaton.
My friend Matt.
Your friend Michael Keaton from work.
My friend Michael Keaton.
I call him Mr. Mom.
My friend Matt brought these in for a couple of us, and he was explaining. So this is the first flavor release, and I guess there's going to be 3 other ones. There's
showed up and said Beetlejuice 3 times.
There's a watermelon one for
Oh, that sounds good.
There's a watermelon one that does sound actually good. And I think
this one sounds like shit.
Yeah, I don't know. This one might be really bad. That's probably the worst of them.
I think we've talked about before. I'm not a huge green apple.
I don't think we're gonna like this one. The watermelon does sound good. It is a Fanta drink.
Yeah, I guess I don't know if I said that.
So watermelon will probably be really good. I think there's an orange one and maybe like a pineapple.
Jesus Christ, are they a Mountain Dew company?
So it's
I guess Fanta always. I think when we'll pour this, it might just be apple, but it's black.
Maybe.
Or maybe it's white. So the can is black and white striped, much like the chair Jacob is sitting in.
Correct.
Which is a chair that my mom asked if I wanted to get reupholstered a long while back.
No.
And I wanted it in kind of a deliberate, like Tim Burton-y sort of style that apparently the upholsterer was not on board with my style choice and said it hurt his eyes while he was working on it. But it turned out he said he thought it looked kind of nice.
This is new?
No.
Oh.
Jacob, you sat on that chair for like literally every single one of these episodes.
You said it hurt his eyes.
Well, yeah, when he was working on it.
How long was this worked on ago?
I mean, how long have we been doing this podcast? At least 5 years or so ago.
So there's this green apple one. There's a watermelon orange. So it's Jenna Ortega's character, Winona Ryder, and then the
Catherine
O'Hara
or whatever.
So they each have a flavor. So this one's probably going to be the worst of the three, but we'll
saddled old Beatty with the spookiest flavor.
Yeah, I want the watermelon one. Does it smell?
No, Jacob, it's a...
no, it's pouring down the can.
It's a scentless
Oh my
soda.
God, look at that color.
So it is a fluorescent... Oh, it comes out kind of fluorescent, but is it like changing on us? It seems a little darker now.
It's fun. It's a fun green. Like, it looks like a green apple green. Does it smell bad?
It's got kind of like a apple pie scent to it.
Oh, it smells...
This apple cidery?
Apple cider.
Enough of that.
Should we sip?
Sommelier.
Are we sipping? Bubbling.
It doesn't. It's like apple pie.
It is.
It has like a cinnamon, like crusty.
There is cinnamon to it. That's weird.
This apple is haunted. It tastes like a fucking candle.
That is different. I don't know if it's bad. Is it bad? It does. It tastes like...
I can understand him bringing in cans to share at work, because if I had a 12-pack or whatever to work through this, I'm not having a good time.
It's cinnamon, though.
I might be calling Beetlejuice 3 times and send me to the fucking afterlife.
It's definitely got that cinnamon, but...
Yeah, very weird.
Like an apple cider.
Oh, it does say spiced apple soda. So if I had read through the can, I would have spoiled for all of us.
Lucas wouldn't recommend this one, but it's fun.
Jones used to make an apple soda that I did like. And then, of course, there is Manzanita Sol. But that's not like a green apple. That's just like an apple soda. And I do enjoy those as well.
So the spice is the cinnamon, huh?
I mean, traditionally, cinnamon is listed as a spice. Though they do say cinnamon, spice, and everything nice. So maybe it is its own thing.
Do you think... Is it more cinnamon than even apple?
Yeah, well, that's some heady stuff right there, man. Let me get out my pie chart to try to divide up how much it is.
Now that I'm drinking it again, now I taste more the apple. The cinnamon's kind of just...
Well, I'll send the remainder of the can.
Take another sip.
And then you can decide. I mean, I think it's just... you're right. I get more apple.
Isn't that interesting? It is. It's like once the cinnamon sticks around, then you just taste apple when you drink it.
My mouth is so shocked by the cinnamon that those receptors are now turned off or something.
That's interesting. It changes. It changes flavors as you drink it.
Is my mouth haunted by Beetlejuice? So I was thinking, because I think there was some kind of Fanta around Halloween time where it like turned your tongue black or whatever. So I thought they would maybe do that gimmick here, but I guess if they have 4 fucking flavors.
Yeah.
I think that also like turns your shit purple or something.
Yikes.
So unfortunately we never tracked down
our poop colors. Maybe we should have.
That spooky Fanta. So you said Matt.
Mm-hmm.
So thanks, Matt. Because if they are only selling cans of this, we might not have done it. Because I was like, I'm buying a 12-pack, but
that's fun.
For Jenna Ortega, maybe.
Ooh, maybe next time.
The watermelon one?
That I'm not sure.
Did you say the other ones were?
There's a watermelon, I think an orange, and a pineapple.
Orange? That's just fucking Fanta. What are you trying to get on me?
I think it is.
Is it haunted orange? Maybe
it's
blood. It's got to be like blood orange, right? While Jacob's looking that up, you can tell your friends about us. Despite the fact that I threatened that every episode we're currently doing is going to be the final episode. But tell a friend. That's probably the best thing you can do is say like, hey, this podcast is okay. It's, it's decent as long as they're not echoing, and point them to Apple Podcasts or Spotify or their podcatcher app of choice. Jacob needs to get up to tell me this apparently. He is holding up a ransom note to my... He's saying, don't read this. Oh, no. So Winona Ryder is watermelon. Jenna Ortega is orange. And I'm just trying to see. Oh, no, she's strawberry. There is no watermelon.
Oh, sorry. My bad.
Those are just Fanta flavors.
Sorry.
I feel like this is the only really special one.
She's pineapple.
Yeah, pineapple is a traditional Fanta flavor. I just don't think it has the biggest distribution. Jacob, just go back to your fucking microphone.
I want the strawberry.
This audio is going to be horrible.
I want the strawberry.
Well, you can get strawberry anytime.
But I want the Winona Ryder one.
So yeah, find us on those podcast platforms, youtube.com/a-whole-new-pod. Like, comment, and subscribe on there. Even if I'd say we didn't get as many likes as we normally do as on the Big Fat Liar episode.
Sad.
And you know what? I don't blame you. But you should like all of our videos, as well as follow us on Twitter at x.com/AWNpod. Thank you, as always, to Dustin for that.
Shout out Dominating DH. We're up to 587 subscribers, and we had a recent influx on our Twitter, followed by a bunch of bot accounts.
Oh, well, I just assume none of those last. I think they all disappear at some point, but maybe not the case.
So we have...
Jacob, neither of these numbers are worth shouting out.
103 followers on Twitter.
There is a lot of porn bots then, because we were, I think, at 10 or fewer for quite a while. Unless Dustin's just doing lots of follow backs with other Disney Channel podcasts or whatever. With that, anything you want to leave us with, Jacob? I think it was primarily, I want the strawberry.
I want the strawberry.
So I will just provide a little teaser for next episode. We're entering, as I seem to flip-flop between, do I like saying spooky season or not spooky season? Of course, our next episode will be for October, spooky season. So we might have our scariest episode yet, because
oh my,
what's scarier than an abrupt
Cancel me all you want. I don't even think you should be on this freaking darn game if you don't have a microphone. You can cancel me for that, I don't care. It's just my opinion. Go ahead and cancel me.
No one gives a No one said we was canceling you.
If you don't have a microphone, you shouldn't be playing the game in the first place. That's just my opinion. Go ahead and cancel me. I don't care.
Yo, Turtle, shut the up, bro.
It's just an opinion. You think I care if I get canceled over an opinion that simple? I don't.
Dude, we get it. Please, Turtle, shut the up. Jesus Christ.
Freaking ranting about something that someone's trying to cancel me for and stupid opinion.
Bro, no one
said
has
they were
said
gonna
about
you.
it.
Yeah, why cancel someone for their stupid opinion? It's just simple.
Oh my god.
Go ahead though, cancel me. I don't care.
No one said they were gonna cancel you.
Oh, are you okay?
Why don't you drop it? Let me have my opinions.
You're
the one that's not fucking dropping it.
Well, I'm not the one that has a problem with it.
Dude, just shut the up.
It's my
Jesus
opinion.
Christ. I get it's your opinion. Alright, I understand. Good for you.
So why cancel someone for just a simple opinion they have?
Oh my god.
Oh my god.